Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have a very strange article, maybe not strange, but for me at least this article is like the article who makes it more than 50% dropping in one side, you're on the fence. This article I think makes me fall on one side of the fence, and I will tell you on what side I fall. But this article comes from The Hill from today, July 20th, 2022, and this is the title: US allies may provide new fighter jets to bolster Ukraine's fight against Russia. The United States and its allies are considering providing Ukraine with new fighter jets in ongoing efforts to bolster its military as the war with Ukraine stretches into its sixth month, General Charles Brown, Chief of Staff of the Air Force, said on Wednesday. Speaking at the Aspen Security Forum in an interview with Courtney Cube, a Pentagon correspondent for NBC News, Brown said the jets could come from a range of different allies. And I'm quoting, "There's a number of different platforms that could go to Ukraine. It'll be something non-Russian, I could probably tell you that," Brown said, "but I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be." So there's not going to be a MiG or a Sukhoi. It's going to be something else. What's going to be a Rafale? What's going to be a Gripen? Whatever, we'll find out. Among the options Brown mentions were US fighter jets, Swedish Gripen fighters, the Eurofighter Typhoon, or French Rafale fighters. I don't see any British. Okay, no Harrier or anything. In March, the Pentagon ruled out a proposal to transfer of aging Polish fighters' jets to Ukraine, calling it a high-risk plan that could further heighten tensions with the Kremlin. In March, but now things changed. Why? Is it because Ukraine is winning? I don't think so. I think it was I had an article about, 7 days ago. I didn't make a video because it was, oh well, what's new? I think it was Slovakia said that is going to give its MiG-29s to Ukraine. Obviously, they will then buy from the military-industrial complex from the United States something else, F-16s or something. So that's why they give the 29s. I'm guessing, but I didn't post it, but obviously they want to give their MiGs 29s. So Poland has proposed transferring its fleet of MiG-29s to the US military Ramstein air base in Germany for eventual transfer to Ukraine, which came as Kiev begged Western officials for the Russian-made combat aircraft, which its pilots are trained to fly. The Pentagon had called this plan untenable. Well, I posted another video a little while ago where the United States, the Pentagon stated that, or a spokesperson said that the Ukrainian pilots are trained on F-16s and F-15s in the United States of America, which I said, well, you don't train on those planes just to write a review and a thumbs up and 3 stars or something to rate the plane. You fly that plane and you get trained for that plane, to train, to use it. That means that plane will be, transferred to your country so you can use it and fight the Russians. Now, there's another thing as well. I don't know if that's going to be really a transfer or it's going to be just a shadowing thing. Remember the Korean War. In the Korean War, it was MiG-15, that beautiful plane, fighter jet, extraordinary, very nice, very good. If you remember, it has that open mouth and it was only one engine in the hull and all that. It was flown by Russian pilots. Some of them were flown by some, I think, North Koreans or Chinese. I don't know if they gave it to Chinese, but they were Russian pilots flying it. They intercepted the communication between the pilots and not only the pilots and the control locations, and they were Russians. So maybe here would be like F-16 or F-15 with American pilots. Who knows? We'll find out. I don't think that they're just going to give F-16 and F-15 to some Ukrainian pilots just like that. It's hard to believe, but we'll find out. So it says here that in the more than 4 months since the Pentagon declined the scheme, Russia has failed to take the capital city of Kiev. They didn't even try. Pentagon declined the scheme and instead moved its focus to the Donbas region in Ukraine's east. Why do they always mention this Kiev bullshit? I mean, we all should know by now that Russia did not try to take Kiev. If we disagree on that, that means you disagree that I'm talking to you right now. And actually, it's nobody talking to you. It's just a machine dancing with the stars. I mean, they invaded in 5 hours. They came from Belarus to Kiev, surrounded Kiev, stayed over there, made some dances, drank some vodka, and then they got back. Why is that? They tried to take it. Now, I'm not going to buy Vladimir Putin's statements and the reason why they retreated. That's another bullshit, I think. He said, I didn't make a video on that, he said that they did that, they retreated, they left Kiev because they wanted to negotiate with Ukraine. So it was like another goodwill act. I don't buy that one. They just got out. I thought, and I still think, that they went over there in order to keep the Ukrainian army split in two. One defending Kiev and the west, and one being positioned in the east, where the Russians actually attacked. So they split the army in two, the Ukrainian army. That's what I think it was. But not because they want to negotiate and they said, oh, we're nice people, we're just going to retreat. And I don't believe the thing that they tried to take Kiev. They could have taken it, but in my assessment, they would have taken it. Just about, 1,000 rockets, and Kiev would be been flat right now. So they didn't try anything over there. So also on Wednesday, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the U.S. will send Ukraine 4 additional high mobile artillery rocket systems, HIMARS, in another forthcoming security assistance package, which would bring the total number of HIMARS sent to Ukraine to 16. And I'm quoting, Russia thinks that it can outlast Ukraine and outlast us. I didn't know that Russia was at war with you. So that's why this is where I fall on the other side of the fence. Lloyd said on Wednesday, but that's just the latest in Russia's string of miscalculations. Yes, it's a miscalculation because I didn't think that you're such weasels. Yeah, so let's go. I will tell you in about, 20 seconds what I think I fell on the other side of the fence, and I'm not on the fence anymore. I think that after the 2014 toppling of the democratically elected government in Ukraine with the help of American services, and not only, that's a fact, it's not me saying that, these illegitimate Ukrainians came to power, these illegitimate guys came to power, and then from there it's on and on illegitimate governments, because they had the power and they were able to take over the mass media and the government, and then the elections that followed were illegitimate because the start was illegitimate. Nevertheless, that's one thing. Then they did the Minsk, they agreed to Minsk agreements, they agreed to that, protocols. The guarantors were Germany and France. That means that they guaranteed that they will push and channel Ukraine to fulfill the requirements of the Minsk protocols, which meant that they will grant the Donbas, Lugansk regions a little bit more autonomy. They will they will reorganize elections in all Ukraine, not only in the part without those two. That's why it's illegitimate, because those people did not vote in the elections. They will reinstitute the Russian language in those areas, in schools and in public spaces and in mass media that was before. and other provisions. Well, there were the third party who were in the shadows, which was United States and Great Britain, who said to the Ukrainians, seems like Ukraine was on that side, not with actually France and Germany, and nothing happened. They didn't move a finger, the Ukrainians, on the Minsk protocols. They continued arming themselves, getting trainers from United States and Great Britain, military trainers and so on, militarizing. They got more radicalized. You can watch on YouTube their videos with people over there, with the Azov battalion, with people in the government, with certain ideas. What happened then? NATO. Oh, we're going to get to NATO. Yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And Russia said, well, okay, that's it. We're going to do this, and we're stop. You test our patience, blah, blah, blah. The other guys were like, come on, man, start. It's late, Russia, you're late. And then Russia started what those guys, I think, they wanted Russia to get in a war all along, in a proxy war, where these guys just stay outside, use Ukraine to drain Russia and kneel it, and somehow create a revolution inside Russia. So they topple Putin and all those guys. They kneel Russia, and it's going to be another Russia from 1991 to 1999, a Yeltsin Russia, a whore Russia that's getting by the 2, 3, 4 countries in the West. This is what I think it was. The problem, it didn't work. Military states stood still, did not break. No revolution in Russia, no economic hardship. The ruble did not collapse and everybody was in disarray. So all these things were wrong. The only thing that happens is they kill Russians and they support Ukraine without being involved in a war. But this guy says us. You see Austin Powell? He said us, Ukraine and us. Okay, so we know it's them using Ukraine as the nation. Zelensky, let Zelensky alone. Zelensky is not part of, whatever you want to call that, Ukrainian nation and so on. He's just a tool. And if you take Zelensky out, would be another tool. Maybe a Banchuk or something like that. It didn't matter. It just happened that this guy and Shalom, whatever is, Michal, they're both on the same other team. Doesn't matter. I'm just saying that the Ukrainian government is on the payroll of the United States and some Western United States, not France, not Germany, and this is where it is. And those guys in the West will have as many Ukrainians fight for their country until they all dead. When they're all dead, they're all dead, and they will say, well, let's move on. That's what's going to happen, and Ukraine will be flattened. A lot of Russians will die in the meantime. Ukraine will be flattened and no country anymore, and that would be it. And that's how it's going to end. So this is where I'm right now. We had the Chinese foreign minister saying the exact thing. He said United States is the country responsible from starting this crisis and fueling it. Well, I'm not, those guys. You say, oh, you can't trust the Chinese. All right, you can trust the Chinese. It's not only the Chinese who say that. Also the Indians are saying almost the same thing. It's not, okay, well, the Indians. Well, who do you want me to listen to? I mean, who are the authority here? I can talk 1 or 2 hours regarding this subject. I just make a little summary on my conclusions, and I'm going to stick with these conclusions. This will end when Ukraine will be flattened. That's what, or something happens within Russia and Putin and his team is dead, or the military, does something, a coup or something. That's what's going to be. The same thing is true for Ukraine. When the Ukrainian military, but they're afraid, what are they going to do? The Ukrainian military will say, you know what, we're not going to listen to those guys, we're not going to listen to this Shmihal and Zelenstein and whatever. We're not going to listen to these guys anymore. This is our nation. We are going to be exterminated. Those guys were going to flatten out. Yeah, you can ask for this and that and that. They just stay over there and smoking their cigars and drinking their whiskey, and we're dying here on their freaking global hegemony. Pax Americana. You make me show all kind of things right now, and I don't want to show them. It's not that. It was a hand gesture. So nevertheless, this is what I think it is. And for me, I'm not going to turn around from this assessment. That's my assessment of what I personally see of what happens so far in that country. And it's unfortunate for two countries, Ukraine and Russia. These are the countries that are most hit, Ukraine and Russia. The rest, we're going to be Germany, who's not going to have gas. It's going to be the European countries, citizens, not the politicians, who are not going to have this and that and the inflation, and us. And the guys over there, they do what they have to do. Why? Russia is too strong, has to be nailed. And this is the process. We'll see what's happening. We'll see how this ends. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.